Here's a look now. This is the high-resolution visible picture. You can see the bubbling effect of some of these thunderstorms around the center of the storm. Some of the shear, though, is kind of pushing everything to the east. And I think this is kind of critical for us because with southwesterly winds above the storm, if the storm was to move onshore and go right up the east coast, a lot of this weather you're looking at right here is going to be on the east coast or out in the Atlantic. So really anything east of us, and this is why, you know, we get a storm in the Gulf that passes a couple of hundred miles west of us, and we're in just a mess. But when storms go up the east coast, a lot of this ends up over the Atlantic, and our weather's from this back here, which really isn't much at all. That's a critical part of the forecasting for us. Doesn't mean will be completely rain-free. It doesn't mean there can't be some squalls in Polk County, but a lot of this would end up on the East Coast or out over the Atlantic. That's a critical part of the forecasting over the weekend. As I told you at 4 o'clock, I'm expecting hurricane warnings to go up on the East Coast, and they have from Boca almost all the way up to Daytona. That's the red hurricane warnings. And then you've got hurricane warnings, of course, in the Bahamas. And tropical storm warnings include the metro areas of Miami and Fort Lauderdale. Here's the position at 5 o'clock, moving northwest at 15. I think the Hurricane Center did a pretty good job with this forecast at 5, moving it a little bit to the west, not quite as far to the west as the European model. Many of the reliable models, like the H-WRF, still have the storm going offshore because of what they expected to be a bit stronger. So I think the Hurricane Center kind of splits the difference. And again, I said this, and you're sick of me talking about this, but weather here, when storms go up the East Coast, is not that bad. It's not going to be sunny like today. There's going to be rain going by, but what we're really concerned about in situations like this is there going to be damage to your property? Will you have power outages? Will you have coastal flooding? And the answer is going to be no, no, no. And that's really, in the big scheme of things, with all this data, what really matters to you and to me is, you going to make it through this? Okay, and I think you probably will, unless there's some huge shift. Here's this is how the west track plays out. So this is if, by chance, the storm ends up over the lake and kind of moves up by Orlando. We'll have some tropical storm force wind gust inland. That's 30, 40 miles an hour, probably eastern Polk County, some of Highlands. Periods of rain, no big deal. Maybe a tornado threat, mainly east of us, and the worst weather would stay on the East Coast. That's if the storm ends up kind of moving inland, and that would be probably our worst case scenario.